Welcome to a new video in my home automation series, and a couple of days ago I reviewed this Meross Matter smart plug. Well, actually you can see it here. And now it is time to review the second product that I received from Meross, which is this smart thermostat. And when I was given a list of products to pick which one to review, I mean, I quite like this one. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a device like this which incorporates the the thermostat functionality with a screen, with the sensor, well, with an external sensor, and also plugs and sockets and everything in a single device. So it is similar to like the the Sonoff TH series, which have, well, it doesn't have a sensor. Well, the new ones have. So it it measures temperature, but you have to connect the cables in, and here you have a plug which you can't see because it's plugged in, and then you have a socket, and so it is so easy. You just unpack it from the from the box that it comes in. You plug it in, you plug it into the wall, you plug in the device like a heater or fan or whatever, and you are ready to go. And you don't have to cable anything, you don't have to wire anything up. I mean, it's so easy. It's really just like a ready to go device. And in terms of the sort of the design and the functionalities, as I said, this is a thermostat, so it has all the usual features that you would expect. So it is going to measure the room temperature, and because this is a waterproof sensor, you can immerse in water. So if you want to heat like water up or something, like a fish tank or something, and then of course you set the desired temperature, and based on that it will automatically turn this output on and off. So if the water or the air is cold, then it's going to turn this one on, so you can it can start a heater, and if it reached the temperature, then it will just automatically turn the output off, and then it will stop the heater. But there is loads more functionality in this one. Well, for example, you can set it to heating and cooling. So then it's going to turn off if the desired temperature is either not met, so you need to heat something, or if the desired temperature is above the desired temperature is lower than the room temperature, so something needs to be cold. And of course you can set a temperature manually. You can create programs like a weekly program, a daily program, and also you have a lot of other functionalities, so like calibration, a couple of like interesting modes, and well, besides all of these, it actually measures energy consumption. So whatever you are heating, it's going to tell you how much energy you used to heat that device, the room, or I mean how much energy you used to use the heater to heat the room or water or whatever. So you can tell how much that is going to cost you. So there's a lot of functionality packed into this small, well, not so small, but this single device. And as I said, what I really like about it is that it's all done. It's you don't have to wire everything. It's nicely done. You just buy it, you plug it in, and you're ready to go. So in this video we are going to go through the usual, looking at the device, doing the unboxing, looking at the documentation, and then I'm going to show you how you can set it up in this app. So the Meross devices have their own Meross app. So I'm going to play around with setting it up in the Meross app. We are going to see how it works. But then once you have set it up in the Meross app, you can sync those devices into Google Home, Apple Homekit, and Alexa as well. I will definitely do it with Google Home because I have a Google Home display, and I will try to do it in Apple as well, but I don't have an Apple HomePod. But if I understood the documentation correctly, then you can just sync it with your phone, so you don't need like an Apple hub. But we'll see if that one works. So that's the lineup for today. I think it's going to take some time anyway. There's a lot to talk about this device, but let's get started and let's see what you can do. So first, let me go through the device, how it looks like and everything. So, well, it's it's a fairly big device, and it comes in a fairly big box. I don't think I would be able to fit the box here. But basically what you get is you have, it's like an extension lead. It's like a special extension lead. So this is a European model, and on the website it says EU/US/UK. So I assume that it is available in US and UK version. Obviously they will contain different plugs. So you have the air plug. So this plugs into your water outlet, and then you get a 2-meter cable to the actual thermostat device, and from that you get a smaller 25-centimeter cable that goes into the actual socket, and then you have a separate cable which is the temperature sensor, and actually this connects as well. And I guess if you have any issues you can just replace the sensor. And this one is 1.5 meters long. So you get a lot of cable in order to, set this up the way you want it. And let me just plug this back again. And yeah, and then on the main unit, well, besides the cables and everything, well, there isn't a lot more. So there is a QR code on the back. There are some stats. So this is the MTS. Oh, it just turned on. So this is the MTS 960 model, and it has a 16 amp relay. And by the way, I'm talking about amperage and rating. I have to tell you that these cables are really thick. So there was definitely no expense spared on the cable. And I must have changed it into different modes. So this is why it is now on. So the lamp is going to represent the heater now. So as you can see, I set the temperature, the target temperature to 26 degrees, and it's 25 degrees in the room at the moment, with a bit of hysteresis. So it just turned itself off. But it turned itself on because I was accidentally switching into different modes. But let me just go back to the main unit. So as I said, there is this main unit which has a display, so it shows you the most relevant information. So as you can see, there is a measure temperature, there is a target temperature, and there is a differential value. But as you switch to different modes, these changes, and also there's a lot of icons on the top which shows that it's connected to Wi-Fi and like it's in heating mode or a cooling mode. You have a couple of buttons and also like a status slide here in the middle. And I also like these small details. So for example, there is a mounting point here. There is also a mounting point here. So you can mount this socket as well. And I think in the beginning of the video, I included a couple of press pictures where it shows a couple of use cases, like this one mounted next to like a fish tank, and how you can just fix these things on the wall so it looks very neat and tidy. But as I said, I think it looks good, and it's a nice thing. And if you want to quickly set it up to, let's say, heat an outbuilding, or make sure that your garage is still not freezing or something like that, you can just quickly install it. You can put a screw on the wall, you hang it on the wall, and it's neat and tight, and it's it's just not some cables that are flapping around on the floor. So I quite like the whole design and how they thought about the use case, and definitely this thought process also shows in the software and in the functionality as well. So that's pretty much all about the whole thing and the physical layout. And as I said, within the box there is a fairly big box, because all these cables and everything needs to fit. And then you get two leaflets. There is one leaflet which talks about the Homekit use, and a couple of things that you need to talk about. You might need to know about Homekit. So for example, it says here that if you don't have a HomePod, you can still control this device from your iPhone if you are on the same network. But if you are at home, but if you leave home, then you need an Apple gateway, like an Apple HomePod, which I don't have. So I'm hoping that I will be able to set up in the sort of like locally. So there is some more text in the documentation. If you're interested in the details, I think you can pause the video and read it. And then there is a bigger document, and just like for the other product, it's fairly detailed, and because there is a lot of functionality here, this actually only comes in, well, my version only comes in 2 languages. So first, this side is German and the other side is English, but the 2 are the same, and it talks about the display, the various functions, how you use it on, let's say, on a thermostat mode. You have how you can set up heating and cooling. You also have a cycle timer mode, a countdown mode, countdown off, countdown on mode, so like, delay on, delay off. And you can also have, schedules and calibration and other bits and pieces. So you can see the sensor is just a resistive sensor. Yeah, so there is a fair bit of information here. And in terms of the control of this device, the screen has a backlight as well, which automatically goes off. And interestingly enough, when you just press the plus and the minus button, nothing really happens, which I would have assumed that you can control the target temperature straight away by pressing these buttons, because most of the thermostats and the radiator valves, they usually have plus and minus button and they react to button presses immediately. But here what you have to do is you have to press, I always forget which one, so this dot to go into the setting mode, and then now I can change the target temperature. You can see that I can do 0.5 degrees. By the way, you can change this to Fahrenheit as well in the app, but it comes Celsius by default. And then let's say I increase it. I can also change the differential value, which is basically hysteresis. But that's it. And I think, well, because it didn't turn on, I think we are actually in heating mode. So I managed to change the heating mode again, and as I increase the target temperature, then the output comes on. So now we are heating the room. And by the way, there is a small icon on the top, which is sort of like heating and cooling, and both of them are like some sort of like star-ish icon. So I always find it difficult to tell which one is supposed to be heat or cool. I think the heating is more like a sun and the cooling is more like a snowflake, but because it's a really small icon, it is, well, for me at least, it is difficult to tell. You can see the 2 different icons here. Since they are so small, it's quite easy to miss them, or, well, hard to tell which one it is. So this is the basic operation of the device, and as you can see, I can go through various modes by pressing this button, and you can see that this is the normal heating, and then now it goes to cooling. You could see the icons on the top changing, and because we are on cooling mode and I set the target temperature to 29, obviously it is not cooling anymore. And if I press again, so we have a cycle timer, so you can set it up to like turn this on and off, on for 15 minutes and off for 15 minutes. So it has nothing to do with the temperature sensing, but it's just like a cycle thing. And you can have a countdown timer on. So now it is off, but after 15 minutes it's going to turn on. And you can do the other way around as well. So it will turn on, but after 15 minutes it's going to turn off. So again, it's good for various scenarios if you want to specifically heat up something or cool down, or, well, because it's not using this built-in thermostat for this particular program, well, it can be pretty much anything as well. And if I cycle again, then I have, so this is the mode where it is, the temperature is based on a predefined program, so heating program. So there is like a small icon there which shows like it's in a timer mode. And then we are back to the basic mode, which is heating. And then in that case, it also shows this differential value, which, as I said, it's a hysteresis. But when we go to the app, there is also like a nice description for each of these, and it will make more sense because then you can read the description what it actually does. So I downloaded the Meross app from the Google App Store, and by the way, you find the link to the to both of the stores in the documentation as well. So there's a QR code that you can scan, but it's called Meross, and it's like a big blue M, which I have in the beginning of the video and the on the overlay as well. And I mean, I've already spent a little bit of time talking about how you create this app or how you set this app up when I talked about the Matter plug. So I'm not going to spend more time on it because it's just going to be, I will be saying the same. But as you can see, my plug is here, and now I have this smart Wi-Fi socket as well. And when you want to, when you are setting up this device for the first time, you click on this plus icon, and then it shows you these, this set of device types, but you can actually click more, and then you click on this smart thermostat, and you can see the MTS 960. And actually, here in the picture, you can see the UK version. So there is definitely a UK version available. So you click on that, and then you follow the on-screen instructions. It's the usual process, and then your device is going to be set up. So this is, on the first screen, on the sort of like a device tile list, you get the name of this device. You see that the current temperature, the room temperature is 25.5, so that's being measured by this sensor, and then the set temperature is, that's also 25.5. And when you go into the details, you can see quite a lot. So you can see the, that it's set to heating, and that there is a trick here, because if I increase that, so you see the number increasing here as well. Now it shows that it's heating, and it shows in orange. So that's what it tells you that it's on, and also the wording changes. And it's the same for cooling. So when you set it to cooling, it will say cool set to, and then when it's actually on, that it says cooling, and then it shows the target temperature. And you can see the measure temperature as well. It shows an outdoor temperature, and I guess that's based on the internet services. So initially you will set up your location, so it would know what the outside temperature is. And then you have a couple of options here. So there are three predefined temperatures that you can change. So comfort, sleep, and economy. So you can just quickly switch between these set temperatures. So now I set economy, and by the way, this one changes as well. Just can't see from the reflection. If you please stay like this. Okay. And then if I change back to like sleep, then it's 18. And I quite like the fact that something changes, that the screen lights up. Okay, let's go back to 18. And you can also do the schedules. Not. So this is the, now I've turned on the scheduling, which means that I turned on the program. And I think if I leave, I change the temperature, then it goes back to sort of like a manual mode. And I can control it whether I want heat or cool. And I also like the fact that you can see that it remembers the set temperature for heating and cooling. So it just, because previously for cooling I set 29 degrees, but for heating it's only set to 24.5. So it does remember these things. And you can turn off the whole thing as well. So there is like a main on off button, and then it's just not going to do anything. You can see that the screen is off as well. And in the timers, so you can, set up these countdowns. So you can set up either the cycle or the countdown, and you can set whether after, let's say, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 5 hours, 61 hours, I want this device to be on. So then it just creates like an on delay or an off delay. It's a one-off thing that you can set. So for example, that you are leaving home, but you will be back in 5 hours. So you set it to turn on after 4 hours. And then by the time you get home, it's going to be warm. And you can start it. Oops. Yep. So these are the main controls of this device, and as you can see, it's pretty much similar. Well, obviously it is very similar to what you can do here, but obviously because it has an app, I think it's much easier to make these quick changes here in the app than try to use these buttons. But again, if you just walk up to this device and you want to increase the set temperature by, you know, half a degree or 1 degree, you still have, you can, you know, click on set here and then use the plus and minus button. So you don't have to take out your phone. And I always prefer these type of devices which have some, you know, local controls with buttons as well, not just the not just the mobile application. So this is really cool. So now let's go into the settings, and for that I just click on these 3 lines on the top left, top right, and you can change the name of the device. You can you can access the user manual, which again, I think it's a very simple feature, but it's a really nice idea. You can also download these user manuals locally if you want to. You also have a child lock, so if you enable, there is a lock symbol which is appearing there, so you won't be able to use the local controls. And then we got then we get to the actual settings. So there is this differential value, and that's the histories that I mentioned before. And you can just you know, also read the whole text here, how it works. I mean, this is the same function that is available in many other devices. So that's basically you can control how frequently it will turn on and off, because at least I think you have to have at least 1 degree of hysteresis, because otherwise if the temperature hovers around the set temperature, then it might just trigger a lot of on-off cycles. But with this one, it's not going to do that. And you can increase it to a higher value, although I'm not really sure why you want to have a higher value. Or maybe you do have that requirement to sort of like heat up things and then let it cool down naturally, and then just create this sort of cycle, natural cycle. Okay, so the next one is the schedule. So that was the schedule that we were able to trigger from here as well, and also from the app. And as you can see, you can set the schedules for every single day, and you have a, how much that is, 6 set points every single day. So you can change the time and the temperature, the set temperature that will be set on that at that time on the particular day. To keep the schedule. So that's the kind of thing that you want the room to heat up in the morning just before you wake up, and then when you leave work, then it goes back to a lower temperature as well, and then again it heats up in the evening by the time you come home. So that's the schedule. And the temperature presets. So these were the 3 different temperatures on the main screen. As I said, you can change the name of it, and you can also change that set temperature. So that's also a nice feature, that it's not hard-coded, but you can change it. Next one is the temperature unit. So you can change between Celsius and Fahrenheit. So now you can see that it has changed, and then the app changes as well. And you can still control it by half a Fahrenheit when it comes to the set temperature. Okay, and temperature control range. That's again at the plus minus button. You can set it the range, so you won't be able to go to 100 degrees, but in a more sensible range. Well, if you can call -20 sensible range, but I don't know. Maybe for cooling you want to have something like that. So that was all the settings for temperature, and now we have the some more temperature stuff. So there is a temperature calibration. So if you feel like that this sensor is reading off, you can calibrate the sensor here by plus minus 0.1 degree increments. And you have access to temperature data as well. It would have been nice if I turned this device on sooner, because then actually we can see some stuff. But as you would imagine, it shows you the temperature within a day, or if you go to the weekly view, it would show you average temperatures on the day, or in a monthly view, it would be average temperature on a weekly basis. And you can export the data as well. You have seen the export functionality on the energy metering, and then it would export daily figures, and I would assume that it exports daily figures as well. I'm going to try it out. Maybe it also exports minimum and maximum for a day and an average. Okay, so next, as I said, it also does energy consumption monitoring. And I have gone through the energy monitoring on my smart plug because it has exactly the same screen. So just like in the temperature, what you would see is you see the current power consumption, and with this LED lamp, it uses such a little, power. I think it's a 1 watt or something like that, that it doesn't even show up, so it still shows 0. But obviously, if you use like a proper heater that it is meant to be used with, then obviously we show the current power consumption, the kilowatt hours today, the kilowatt hours this month, and it shows a graph here as well. You have the same weekly, monthly, and the yearly views. So if you are on a weekly, it's going to show you the energy consumption per day, and for the month it will be weekly, and for years it will be monthly. And here as well you have 2 more functions. So you can assign a monetary value, like a single value, how much the electricity costs per kilowatt hour. So there's no on-off peak, off-peak or on-peak rates. It's just a single value, and you can also export the data. And as I said, for the plug, it was exporting the energy consumption kilowatt hours per day within the range. So that was the energy monitoring, and we have some more features. So there is a frost protection. So as you can see, if you enable this functionality, then no matter what is set on the thermostat, whether it's it's what sort of mode it is in, if it measures anything less than 5 degrees, it's going to turn off, just to protect your room, whatever belongings, from frost. And you also have this compressor delay. So you can see that if you have something connected here which runs on a compressor, which could be like a fridge or an AC or like a chiller or something, then you can enable this functionality to again protect the device from too frequent on-off cycles. It doesn't really say what it actually means, and I didn't have the time to test it, but again, it would just make these switching the device on and off less frequent. And we have some alarm. So you can set a high temperature alarm, and you can also set a low temperature alarm. So that will obviously create an alarm notification on your phone. And you have a couple of automation options here. So I was having an issue using this one because you see, the first step would be that you set a temperature range where you want this automation to trigger. So I guess you can restrict it in a certain temperature range. So you see, execute the automation when the temperature reaches the set value. Well, I would assume that it's in between these 2 set values. But the next button is never enabled for me. So I'm not really sure what is going on here. But I couldn't get this functionality working. And finally, we have time zone, device location, and a couple of other things here, Wi-Fi signal. And we have some HomeKit setup code, which probably we are going to use a little bit later. So that's all there is to it. And this is what you get in the Meross app, in functionalities, control, and everything. So next, as I said, I want to show you how you can get this in your Google Home app. So what I'm not actually going to do this because I've already performed this task for my plug that I reviewed previously. But if you go back to the main screen on the app and you click on user, there is stuff here which says Amazon Alexa, Google Assistant, SmartThings, or Apple HomeKit. So you can integrate with any of these services, and I selected Google Assistant. And there was a couple of screens or a couple of steps where it links this Meross account with your Google account, and then you can select what device you want to migrate. And I did that for my plug, which is already there. And then so it's already linked, so it's not going to take me through the same process again. But because the account is already linked, so any device that I add to the Meross app, just like I added this smart thermostat, automatically gets synced to the Google Home app. So if I go back to my Google Home app, actually you can see that I put my Meross plug into my study. You can see the 2 devices. Well, they are offline, they are not plugged in at the moment, so you can see them there. And this thermostat I did not assign to a specific room, so you can see that it's just under link to you in the bottom of my screen. But you can see smart Wi-Fi socket, and you can see the set temperature here, and so I can control it. So I can set it to 21 degrees. Now it's set to 21 degrees. And you can see that the indoor temperature is 25.6, so it shows it here and with a dot on the on this wheel, and you know, everything is synced. So I can set it to minus 20 to all the way to 35. So that's the range that we set in the Meross app, and I can control the basic modes from here. So you can set it to heating, cooling, or turn it off. And this is all you get in the Google Home, not because it doesn't do any more functionality, but this is what Google Home supports for a thermostat. So you can only set the set temperature, you can set a mode, and you can you can see the measure temperature, and that's pretty much it. So and this is why I said in the beginning that you have the option to use both of the applications, and of course just I would recommend you to use the Google Home application or the Alexa application if you are using if that's your main application, how you control your home. But then it's a good idea to have this configured in the Meross app as well. Well, in fact, you have to configure it in the Meross app because that's how you link it to Google as a second step. But then you have all this additional functionality in the Meross app if you want to access these functionalities. Because obviously you won't be able to see, for example, temperature history here. You won't be able to see energy consumption in the Google Home app, and I would assume that it's pretty much the same in Alexa and Homekit as well. So there you go, and it's all here. It's working. The most basic functions can be accessible from here, and it works. It perfectly syncs the information between Google Home and the actual physical device. So besides looking at how you can control this device in the Home app, I also want to see what automations that we can use this for. And for that, first I had to assign it to a room, well, definitely a home and a room, because otherwise it was just wasn't showing up in the automation. So now it is assigned to my study. You can see it here. And now if I go to automations and add, and household, and add a starter condition when the device does something. And now if I scroll down to my study, then you can see Wi-Fi smart socket, and you can create an automation based on if the mode changes to off, heat, or cool, and then when the temperature changes. So rises above, falls below, is exactly, or is between. So again, let's say you create an automation that, again, if the temperature rises above a certain degree, then obviously the device will turn on, but then you can control something else as well, maybe lights or something. The other thing, the one thing that you cannot do is you cannot create a condition where it actually turns on based on its internal logic, how when it turns on, based on whether it's in program mode or whether it's in the set temperature. So it would be difficult to sync the behavior of the socket on the device and the actual automation in Google Home. So yeah, I guess it's not a big deal, to be honest. And you can also use it as an action. So adjust the home device, and if I scroll down again I almost managed to stop at the study. So you can change the set point, or you can change the mode. So I think, again, this is useful. So let's say you have one of these for each room, because let's say you live in a rental accommodation and you can't set smart thermostat, you can't put them on the wall, so it's just easier to have these and then have these plugged into the socket. Then maybe you can create an automation where you create an automation, let's say in Google Home, where you can change the mode of all of them at the same time to heating, cooling, or off. So you don't have to go through each one of them and do this manually. Or you can do the same with a set point. So I think it would make it would be very useful in this sort of like in this group setting, or if you have leaving home routine set up in Google Home, then you can set this immediately. Well, you can set this device to, you know, lower the set point to 18 degrees. So regardless of the program or regardless of what manual settings it is set to, you can just change it to 18 degrees or, you know, whatever degrees that you set here. So I think it's nice. It's a useful feature. So what I try to do now is I attempt to sync this device into my Apple HomeKit, just like I did it for my, you know, Google Home. And so on my Apple, on my iPhone, I'm just going to click on plus and I'm going to click add accessory. And I assume that what I need to do here is actually, if I go back to the settings, so I'm not going to do two screen recording, but there was an option here which said Apple HomeKit setup code. So I'm going to use this setup code here. So it just shows a number, and I think I can select scan the QR code, hold the so there is more options here, and then there is an MTS 960 nearby, so I don't even have to enter the code here because it has found it already. Oh, okay, the code is here, so 3 and 86807. And if that is all, then man, that was easy. Living room. Yeah, let's say it's a living room. Wi-Fi socket thermostat. Yeah, it's a good enough name for now. And it's done. That was so easy. Okay. That's easier than I expected. Well, definitely easier than what it was for Google. I mean, the Google wasn't complicated as well. It just took like, I don't know, like half a minute to go through all the settings. Oh, sorry, to go through all the screens. But at least if you do it once, then every new device will sync automatically. Here, I would think that you would have to add. So if you buy a second one, you have to add that again. Oh, sorry, you have to add that manually because you are adding a device, not sort of like an integration. But anyway, it works. You can see that I can turn the device on and off, and and I can also set it to heat and cool, and I can set the temperature. Ooh, funky. I like this user interface. I never used a thermostat in the Apple Home system before. And you can change the set temperature and it updates here immediately. And if I set it to cool, then again it switches to the cool set temperature. And yeah, and then it also shows you the shows a dot. Well, it shows a dot here in the wheel, so you can visually see what the set temperature is. But this is really cool and it works. And in the settings, yeah, you can set the units, and that's pretty much it. And you can see that the manufacturer is Meross, so it comes through this integration nicely. Yeah, and it suggests a couple of scenes. Yeah, you can create a scene where you you turn off the temperature by dialing it down to -35 degrees. Okay, you can do that as well. And oops, yeah, and that's it. I mean, I think it's pretty cool. You get exactly the same functionality as in Google Home. I mean, like, you know, you can set the set temperature, you can set the set temperature or target temperature, and you can change between the 3 different modes, and that's it. And of course, you can create scenes here, but I think at the, so, you know, whatever I can set here is fairly limited because I don't have a HomePod, so everything lives on just on my iPhone. And again, just going back to the documentation that I showed you right in the beginning of the video, is because I don't have an Apple HomePod, I can control this device as long as I'm on the same network as the device itself. But if I would leave home and I go on you know, 4G or 5G, then it wouldn't work. So for that, I would need a HomePod. But to be honest, I'm quite happy that without any, you know, additional hardware, I can just use my iPhone and then control it. And of course, if I would only have an iPhone, then first of all, I would use the Meross app on my iPhone to set up this device. And then from the device, I would do the same steps. So request the code. And then when I do the new accessory, then I can enter that code what was provided from the app. But yeah, since my main phone is an Android, I was using 2 different phones for this, but it shouldn't make any difference. So that's it. I think it is working, and it is working great. That's really cool. And this concludes the review of this Meross smart Wi-Fi socket thermostat. I want to get the name right. As I said in the beginning, I think it's quite a unique unit. I mean, not that you can't buy thermostats, but the way that this is sort of like packaged with a plug and an extension lead, I think it just, as I said, it makes it really easy to use if you have a situation where you just quickly control something. You want to, you know, set up heating in your outhouse, in a garage, or you have a water tank, and you can just buy this, plug this in, you know, put in the sensor, let's say in a water tank, or just leave it out in the air, and then, you know, connect whatever heater, air conditioning, dehumidifier that you want, connect it to this socket. It's very easy to use, and it has all the features that you need, and probably it has even more features, because it seems that they really thought about all the different scenarios when you can use it. And it logs information, logs temperatures, logs power consumption. You can export it into, you know, send the data of yourself in an email. So really, I think it has everything that you would ever need. So if you like this product, I'm going to leave purchasing links, affiliated links in the video description. And just like with the smart plug, Meross has given me a discount code, so use that at checkout. But that will be all for today. Thanks for watching, and hopefully see you next video.